So let's talk about something that is so often kept in the dark, wrapped up in shame and silence. And that's declining sexual desire. But here, we're going to look at this in a totally different light. What if a low libido wasn't some kind of problem you have to fix? What if it's actually a powerful message from your body? Let's dive in and try to figure out what that message might be.
Have you ever had that feeling, like that inner fire, that spark, has kind of dimmed down to a flicker? Well, if you have, I want you to know you are so far from alone. And I know that feeling can be incredibly isolating, but what if it's also the starting point for a really profound journey of self-discovery?
Okay, the most important thing to hear right now is this. You are not broken. Your body is unbelievably intelligent. A drop in your desire isn't a malfunction. It's a signal. It's your body's way of waving a flag and saying, hey, something over here, biologically, psychologically, maybe in your relationship, it needs your attention. I just love this quote because it completely captures the spirit of what we're doing here. It's all about empowerment. We're going to shift away from feeling like a victim of a low libido, and instead, we're going to step into the role of an investigator, a detective, really, ready to diagnose the root causes in our own lives.
All right, so our first area of investigation is what I like to call the biological blueprint. This is the physical hardware, the foundation for our desire. We really have to understand our body's natural baseline before we can make sense of any changes that might be happening.
So let's break this down into three key factors. First, your innate sexual constitution. That's kind of your factory setting. Second, the huge hormonal shifts that come with the menopausal transition. And third, your overall health and vitality. Because as you're about to see, your general wellness is the bedrock for everything else.
Okay, so let's start with this idea of a sexual constitution. Just like we all have different personalities, we all have a natural baseline for desire. And someone with a so-called weak constitution isn't flawed at all. They might just naturally prioritize romance, an emotional connection, and a spiritual bond. It's just a different biological setting. That's it. And it's also really important to remember that even a naturally strong constitution can get dialed way down by the other factors we're about to explore.
This line just gets right to the heart of it. Think about it for a second. If your body is managing the intense hormonal roller coaster of menopause, or if it's fighting off chronic pain and inflammation, its number one job is survival. Pleasure, well, that becomes a secondary concern. Desire in that sense really is a luxury. It's the beautiful bonus of a healthy, well-resourced body.
All right, on to our second investigation, your psychological software. You've probably heard it said that a woman's mind is her most powerful erogenous zone, and it is absolutely true. If our mental and emotional state isn't in the right place, the physical response, it's just not going to follow. So many of us are walking around with these subconscious scripts about sex. Ideas we just soaked up from our culture or our upbringing that tell us desire is shameful or that good girls shouldn't really want it. These aren't just passing thoughts. They literally act as a powerful brake on our nervous system, shutting down arousal before it even gets a chance to get started.
And this leads us to a really crucial concept called the orgasm gap. It's basically the well-documented difference in how often men and women have an orgasm, especially in heterosexual encounters. And it brings up a very simple but profound question. If an activity consistently offers you no reward, why on earth would your brain want to keep doing it? When you look at it this way, the logic is actually crystal clear. Step 1, sex rarely leads to pleasure or orgasm for you. So step 2, your brain, being the efficient machine that it is, logically loses interest. It's not broken, it's just smart. And that leads right to step 3. The nervous system gets the memo and shuts down the desire for an activity that's all cost and no reward. Makes sense, right? Okay, for our third and final investigation, let's zoom out and look at the relational climate. The emotional atmosphere of your partnership has a massive impact on desire. This phrase just says it all, doesn't it? For so many women, desire isn't just some physical switch you can flip. It is deeply tied to feeling safe and respected and seen and connected throughout the entire day. You just can't feel emotionally ignored or dismissed at the kitchen table and then suddenly be expected to feel physically open and available in the bedroom. It doesn't work that way. We can really pinpoint 3 primary relational dynamics that slam the brakes on desire. First, you have hostility and suppression, where a woman's voice just isn't heard or valued. Second, the profound trauma of infidelity, which just shatters the foundation of trust.
And third, there's a really toxic dynamic that we're about to explore, sometimes called the incestuous trap. This slide shows two very different worlds, right? On one side, you have a fortress of power. This is a real adult-to-adult partnership. But on the other side, you can have a theater of resentment. This is what happens when one partner, often the woman, falls into a mother role, managing, correcting, and basically parenting her partner. This creates what you could call psychological incest, where genuine, red-hot, erotic attraction becomes biologically impossible because the roles are just fundamentally wrong.
Okay, so after doing all this detective work, investigating our biology, our psychology, and our relationships, what is the path forward? How do you actually start reclaiming that vitality and reigniting that inner fire?
The only way forward is a holistic approach. You can't just focus on one piece of the puzzle. It means actively tending to your physical health, your nutrition, your hormones. It means dismantling those old limiting beliefs about shame. It means taking radical responsibility for your own pleasure. And it means doing the hard work of clearing out the emotional debris from past conflicts in your relationship.
And this is so important to remember. This is not about fixing yourself for somebody else. Reclaiming your sexual energy is about reclaiming a vital, essential part of your own life force. It is the elixir of your own youth, your own health, and your own vibrancy.
So now the investigation turns to you. Looking at all these pieces, your biology, your psychology, and your relationship, what do you feel is the primary brake being pressed on your desire? Really thinking about that and answering that one question honestly, well, that's the first and most powerful step you can possibly take.
You can find the electronic version of book She Who Awakens by Alina Chamberlain at wishforlove.org.